I got so enraged, I just walked up to David and just whacked him one. And a few days later, he got rushed to Moorfields Eye Hospital. Oh, well, I suppose all fair in love and war and all that nonsense, you know. It was okay as long as it was true, but it wasn't.
Meet George Underwood, a talented painter, artist, and lifelong friend of David Bowie. Not only were they close friends, but George also collaborated with Bowie, leaving a mark on both their careers and lives.
And we were 9 years old, enrolling for the Cubs. It was the 18th Bromley Cubs and Scouts. Well, we had similar interests. We used to hang around together all the time. Joined at the hip, as they say.
How do you say Bowie?
Bowie.
Bowie, it is
Yeah,
Bowie.
that's how David originally pronounced it. Of course, it's taken on so many different versions. No, I think Bowie is how David originally intended it.
David Bowie was iconic for many things: music, fashion, boundary-pushing art, and his unique eyes, one blue, the other appearing brown. Contrary to popular belief, David wasn't born like this. It was George who gave Bowie his striking look, the result of a teenage scuffle over a girl called Carol.
Basically, there's a girl that we both fancied. I said to David, you know, how should we chat her up? I said, I'll have a party and we'll invite her along. My mum and dad were going to go out that night. My dad had bought a few beers and everything. The boys start coming in, bottles of gin in their hand, right? Everyone was drunk by about 8:30, including David, who was absolutely ratted. Can I say the F word? My mum goes up to him and says, David, shake him, would you like a coffee? Off. Oh dear. I'd never said that to my mother, it's terrible. Anyway, I started saying to Carol, I said, I'm sorry about the party, it's got a bit out of hand. What about meeting up next week? You know, she said, yeah, all right. Well, I'll meet you down there at 7:30. I got a phone call, David, saying, yeah, she can't meet you. She doesn't want to go out with you, she wants to go out with me. I thought, oh, well, I suppose all fair in love and war and all that nonsense, you know. It was okay as long as it was true, but it wasn't. I went down the club a bit later and her friend says, where have you been? Carol's been waiting for you for over an hour. And I was seething. So the next morning I was telling my mate about this on the bus. David was in the front of the bus and I could overhear him saying about this girl he's going out with, that George wanted to go out with. I got so enraged when the break time came along, I just walked up to David and just whacked him one. And I must have hit him with my ring or something happened. A few days later he got rushed to Moorfields Eye Hospital. But it all ended out okay because we were still friends, and later on he said I did him a favour because of this strange look he had in his eye, you know. It gave him that enigmatic look, I think, yes. Because the pupil doesn't dilate like normal people's, it gives the impression, because of the refraction of the light, that it's a different colour, but it's due to the damage to his pupil.
But George's collaboration with David wasn't limited to childhood quarrels. He worked on several of Bowie's iconic album covers, including Hunky Dory and Space Oddity.
David did a little drawing for me of all the things he wanted, because this explains the lyrics of all the songs. The Space Odyssey, you see, two spacemen holding a rose. Letter to Hermione, Sad-Eyed Boy from Free Cloud. There's Memory of a Free Festival, Signet Committee. There's Starman, where did he come from? You might recognise this couple. They ended up in Ashes to Ashes. This one here, Hunky Dory, we really have to owe most of this Brian Ward, the photographer, who took this photograph. And David had seen a photograph of my mother in my living room at home, which was a hand-tinted photograph. And he brought this photo to me and said, can you tint it, you know, a bit like that one in your living room. You know. I really wanted to paint it rather than colour the photograph. So I shared it with an airbrush artist, and it gives it a bit better texture. And the same thing for the Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust. Brian Ward's studio was in Heddon Street, just here. And when David came out with all his gear on, it started to pour with rain. So he got inside the phone box, and that's how the phone box, oh, there we are, in the phone box, you see. Once again, I got it airbrushed. We never knew how iconic the albums were going to be, obviously. You never know at the time. David always knew roughly he knew exactly what he wanted.
George's influence extended beyond Bowie. He also designed for Mark Bolan of T-Rex and The Fix, further solidifying his place in the world of rock and roll.
The first album cover I did was actually via David. He phoned me and said, this mate of his has got an album cover out and he needs a cover done. I think you'd be good for it. So I started talking to Mark about what sort of cover you want. Oh, it was difficult getting any sense out of him, really. It was all going, hey, cosmic man, you know, it was all like that. Everything was very cosmic. So I came up with this idea, and that was thanks to David I got that, and I got a lot of work via that.
George's art extends beyond album covers, influenced by a fantastic realism that evokes a dreamlike quality.
I think I started painting in oils in about 1973, yeah. What I try and do in my paintings, I mean, I invent these people, you see, and they come out of my imagination. And my style is probably based on a traditional Renaissance-y sort of feel, but the palette is muted rather than bright. And I want the viewer to have a look at this person that I'm painting and think, what are they thinking about? There's something going on in their head which they want to know about. And so the narrative in my paintings is, you know, make up your own mind what's going on, because I'm just leaving it open to you.
So you don't use.
Does that make sense?
That does. It does.
Having known David since his youth, George witnessed his evolution into a global icon. But did he ever imagine Bowie's rise to such heights? And how did their friendship shape their collaborations?
The fact that he's covered so many generations of fans, that takes some doing. He did that with grace. So I would like to be thought of as a friend of David's, because I was. I mean, we were friends for so long. I mean, gosh, people say that, you know, I was lucky to have known him. No, he was lucky to have known me, that's what I say.
In 2016, the world lost David Bowie to liver cancer, a sudden loss that rippled through his millions of fans and his close-knit circle of friends, including George.
He didn't tell me about it, and I think he was trying to sort of be kind to me. I had a feeling it wasn't quite 100%, but when it came, whew, you know, I shot out of the blue, and I was very upset, yeah. Still miss him, you know. I remember when, I think we were 65 or so, he emailed me saying, old men now, eh? And I said, yeah. I said, I look in the mirror and I keep looking, I see my father. And he said, that's weird. He said, I look in the mirror and I see your dad as well.
Today, George pours his passion into another cause close to his heart, War Child, a charity that provides support to children and families in conflict zones around the world, delivering life-saving aid to the most vulnerable.
When I was asked to do a painting for War Child auction, I immediately said yes. It rang a true bell with me, and I'm really pleased that I got involved. Well, when the theme of was given to me, which was we like dancing and we look divine, which was a line from Rebel Rebel, I thought, I've got a painting I did in 2010, and this is a print of the painting I did called We Love Dancing, I called it.
Now, nearly 30 years later, that spirit of giving continues to inspire initiatives like Sound and Vision, carrying Bowie's legacy forward.